If you're like me, as a parent at the end of every calendar year, usually take some time to reflect on all that has taken place over the past year. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a year of sex ed news in brief review. I'm also going to share with you a few of the milestones that I've unlocked here at It's Time for the Sex Talk for the Parents over the past year, and then give you an inside look at what's to come here on my YouTube channel in 2022. I'm Kathleen, and I make YouTube videos for parents on how to talk about sex and answer sex questions that their child may have. Starting off in the USA, at the beginning of the year, there still was a lot of chatter about the Me Too movement, and there was an article that came out in the Washington Monthly about sexual assault amongst boys and how the sexual violence is usually perpetrated by other boys, showing the need for more consent education in sex ed. Down under, Australia decided to include the non-binary option in their census for the first time, paving the way for better statistics on gender in the coming years. Now over to Denmark, the world became even more aware of how progressive the Danes are when we were introduced to John Dillermand, the clay man with an extraordinary penis, a very popular children's show in Denmark. In February, a global research study found that 88% of parents said that one of their biggest concerns about their child going online was their unintentional exposure to sexually explicit material. That led me to create a 5-part series on talking to your child about porn. It's step-by-step and in-depth and covers the majority of what those 88% of parents are concerned about. Speaking of porn, the most famous person who follows me on Instagram is porn star Asa Akira, who is also a mom to 2 young kids, which just goes to show that even porn stars need a little help when it comes to having the sex talks with their kids. Now back to the news. 2 public health professionals were encouraging Boston public schools to begin implementing sex ed starting in kindergarten because research shows that medically accurate and age-appropriate sex ed can help prevent child sexual abuse. Over to the Caribbean, in the Twin Island nation of Trinidad and Tobago, the deaths of 2 young girls, Andrea Barrett and Ashanti Riley, ignited a review of the health and family life education in schools, and people were calling for more comprehensive sex ed to be taught. And as of this recording, comprehensive sex ed in schools is still being debated. Moving right along, a mom in Scotland was horrified when her 10-year-old boy searched for boys' toys on the internet in order to get an idea for some birthday presents. And within the first few results, there were sex toys. This is what we in the sex ed world call an unintentional view of sexually explicit material. Over to a bit of a warmer island, Hawaii's animated short film Kapai Mahu brought to life the legend of 4 Mahu, or third gender or dual-spirited individuals who brought healing powers to Hawaii. And to round out the month, a research study in the United States found that 45% of Americans could not correctly define consent, showing the need for better sex ed starting 25 years ago. Australia then showed the world that they are also unclear on what consent means with their extremely confusing milkshake consent PSA video. No need to watch that one. Watching that would be unhelpful. It was during this month that I reached a milestone where I had 5,000 views on one of my videos. It was my circumcisions considerations for parents. Have you seen it? New Zealand became the first country to prosecute a person for stealthing. Stealthing is the non-consensual removal of a condom. And for more analysis on stealthing, you can check out this video. It was also around this time that I received my first unsolicited dick pic in my entire life, which I guess is a milestone. June was Pride Month, and I encouraged parents to stop assuming that their child is heterosexual. Because according to the Human Rights Campaign, 77% of LGBTQ youth reported feeling depressed or down in the past week, and 70% reported feeling hopeless or worthless. Those stats are awful, and if you're a parent like me, you want to do better. In July, 26-year-old Spanish TikToker Nine Derechi said in an interview that he finds it difficult to have sex with a condom, and therefore he never uses one and just says he's sterile to sexual partners. Well, under Spanish law, this is considered sexual deception, and as of recording, this investigation is still ongoing in Spain. In August, Refinery29 put out a great piece about the patchwork system of sex ed in the United States. It was an in-depth look at the need for better sex ed, and as a former sex ed teacher in the United States, everything in the article was true. Remember in February, public health officials were encouraging Boston public schools to implement sex ed starting in kindergarten? Well, some school districts did choose to go ahead with that recommendation, but with the caveat that parents can opt out their child. In September, we all watched as the U.S. state of Texas made it basically impossible for a person to obtain an elective abortion within the state. I want my kids, as well as all kids, to be able to take care of and protect their sexual health. And well, this law does not prioritize the health of a person who becomes pregnant in the state of Texas. If you'd like to check out my video on how to talk about abortion with your child at any age, I have that linked in the description below. Influencers and podcasters in Ireland began discussing the outdated sex ed curriculum in Irish public schools, stating that the religious values of Catholicism is heavily influencing how sex ed is being taught, or more like not being taught. The USA issued its first passport with an X gender for non-binary individuals and plans to make it widely available as a gender option in 2022. Australia Capital Territory and the US state of California criminalized stealthing this month, and thanks to Mormon TikTok, the world became aware of soaking, which is basically vaginal sex without any movement. Now, there's nothing wrong with soaking. The problem is that the people engaging in soaking don't think it's sex. Back down under, Australian cricket captain Tim Paine stepped down from the team due to sending dick pics to a female colleague. Now, for the 400,000th time, if you think somebody would like to see a picture of your penis, you need to ask them by sending a message first saying, "Would you like to see a picture of my penis? And if so, what angle would you prefer?" And this brings us to the end of 2021, when Mark Zuckerberg decided to throw the metaverse into the spotlight. And it got me thinking about sex in the future and the types of sex talks that we'll be needing to have with our kids. According to this article, there is a consensus that sex will need to be a part of the metaverse, or else the metaverse will fail, highlighting the difficulties of regulating sex online. Now, moving forward to 2022, I plan to continue showing up here every Tuesday, bringing you simple videos that encourage you to have the sex talks with your kids. I'll be posting more to this community on the community tab, asking questions and getting ideas on videos that you would like to see. My playlists have been revamped in order to make it easier for you to find the topics and content that you need in order to have the sex talks with your kids at each age group. I'm also excited to share that I'm going to be hosting with Solve to do some social podcasting about parenting and the sex talks. If you don't know what Solve is, it is 15-minute podcast designed to answer a question with 2 to 4 panelists or guest speakers. If you would like to be on a Solve with me and be a guest or a panelist, check out the description below for more information and send me a DM on Instagram. From the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to everybody who has been a part of this community, who has subscribed and has liked and has shared my videos. I really appreciate all of the support that you have shown me here. I would love to know how my videos have helped you over the past year in navigating the sex talks with your kids. I'm Kathleen, and I'll be back next week with another video on It's Time for the Sex Talk for Parents.